Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Basscast Radio. I am your host, Brian Carter. Guys, back with us, Thomas from Fishing the DMV. And guys, we got a special guest in the house tonight. Guys, we got my boy Dave Rush here from what is it? Best Online?
Best on Tour. Best on
Best
Tour
on
is what
Tour.
we
Sorry
have
about that.
going
Best
on right
on
now,
Tour.
Brian. Yeah, no problem.
So we got Dave on with us tonight. Guys, Bass Geek is a little under the weather tonight, so hopefully be back with us next week and be feeling better. So I know the Rona's going around a little bit, and he told us a week ago his wife had it, so I think he's then kind of caught it, and he wasn't feeling the best. So, guys, we got a great show lined up for you all tonight. First of all, we'll go head on over to Thomas real quick, see what is going on in his world, and then we got a bunch of different topics. There's a lot happening in the world of bass fishing. You guys seen the new forward-facing sonar, lake regulations, 45 comments underneath my post as well. I didn't get the 400 shares, but I got a crap load of comments from you guys underneath that regarding that. And we're just going to talk about the end of the Bassmaster Elite season. But first, Thomas, what's up, brother?
Dude, I'm just recovering from August, man. I think we had a great August on our channel. We were the 50th most listened to outdoor show through the month of August in the United States of America. Had over 20 episodes drop, and I'm thankful we're in September now, because I always take September off to kind of recuperate from the summer rush. So I'm just counting my blessings that we finally got to the finish line here.
Yeah, congratulations on that, man. That's great accolades there. Good
Thank
deal
you
on that.
Yeah, that is freaking awesome. So are you cutting back shows, Thomas, or are you still gonna?
Yeah, I like September. Let's spoiler warning. It's kind of like the lull month when it comes to fishing and so many attributes of it. So I usually try to have a really good push in the summertime, especially with the Chesapeake Bay being hot, and then just kind of take a couple of weeks to kind of recuperate. Only 1 or 2 episodes versus 5 a week.
That's freaking crazy. I don't know.
That's a heavy schedule.
It can be.
The crazy thing, guys, is Thomas records like 2 or 3 episodes a day. So, I mean, I don't know how in the world he can talk that much, but I couldn't do it. I did back-to-back one time, and it about killed me, because I was on our show, then on someone else's show, and I was like, no, I can't do this no more.
It's just, there's so many things in this mid-Atlantic area to talk about. This is my 3rd interview of the day, and I've already talked about sheep's head fishing on the Chesapeake Bay and smallmouth fishing on the Susquehanna River. And you can do that within driving distance, which is so cool. I mean, it's not a place where you necessarily have big time tournaments, but there's so many little niches in our area, which is kind of fun.
That's so cool, man. You guys have a great diversity in outdoors things you can do up there. I'm here in South Carolina, near the coast, near Charleston. So I kind of grew up with the same thing. I mean, you can 30 minutes, you can be saltwater fishing, 30 minutes, you can be freshwater fishing. Upstate South Carolina, awesome. You can be clearwater, reservoir, smallmouth, spotted bass. So great training ground if you like fishing.
It really is. And you wonder how you get into largemouth fishing or any type of bass fishing when you live next to the coast. Mm-hmm. You have so many opportunities. Like and your area is definitely a fascinating case study for that, for sure.
Yeah, I feel like it kind of goes either way. I've known a ton of freshwater guys who got into saltwater fishing later in their life and never picked up a bass rod ever again, and vice versa. So I think it's kind of what you cut your teeth starting out doing.
That's cool. I started the saltwater and went to bass. I knew nothing about bass, and I ain't gonna lie, ain't the best. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. But deep sea fishing, oh my God, we did so much of that as a kid. Pier fishing, bank fishing, you name it, ocean fishing, all that. We did a whole lot of stuff, and that's how I kind of started. My grandfather, there's a photo of him, and actually made it in the paper down in Virginia Beach. Him and fish, tons of fish hanging up. And but yeah, the saltwater thing is what we kind of grew up on, and fishing ponds, just fishing farm ponds and little lakes. And then I met a guy, and I learned this whole bass fishing world, what it was all about.
I enjoy it. It grounds me, because I know in the spring rush, when we have bass tournaments every other weekend, you get so sucked into that rabbit hole. When you get to then go back to what I do and diversify. You touch grass a little bit, and then you get to hear about everyone else's like perspective on fishing and stuff. And it's like, oh, we're not complaining about a Randy Blockett video. We're just talking about techniques for flounder or whatever. It's like, I don't know. It gives you perspective on the whole industry.
Yeah, for sure. I think you're seeing. I know if you follow a lot of these professional anglers on social media, you'll see a lot of them crappie fishing in the off season. That's become really big. Trophy crappie fishing, or just crappie fishing in general, or doing something different. Just kind of getting away from the hardcore everyday, bass fishing.
I'm glad you brought that up because it feels like it's popped up, or now I'm seeing it more in my feed that's gaining more mainstream popularity in the tournament world, just the crappie side of things.
Yeah, for sure it has. I think, they've always had crappie tournaments, and that's a whole different, ball of wax over there. All kind of things going on in the crappie fishing world as well. But I think, that kind of those three initials, FFS, have really opened up a lot in the crappie world, to be honest with you. I mean, it makes it a lot easier, a lot more fun for people who've had trouble catching them in the past. But there's two different worlds with that, right? You've got guys who are just kind of fishing for, to fill the freezer, have a fish fry, have fun out there. And then you have that whole like trophy crappie fishing, which I don't know if you guys have seen much of that, where they're literally kind of hunting down one crappie with the forward facing sonar, and they're suspended really shallow, 2 to 3 feet down, and they're using 30-pound braid and big rods, and almost like a punching bite, like a flipping bite. And I mean, just jacking these 2.5, 3-pound big crappie. And there's a lot of content out there, so that really gets you excited to go crappie fishing, even if you're not kind of one of those, how many can you catch guys. You can go out there and catch some big ones, fish for those big nomadic ones. So it's not your imagination. I feel like it definitely has become a lot more prominent.
I actually had the guys on that just set the Bugs Island Lake record with 17 pounds for their 7 fish limit at a Bobcat this spring. And they were talking about that, which would these records be possible? Is it the steroid era? Like, it's just, there's so many correlations people want to go with that. But the way they get so scientific with hunting these big ones is fun to listen to, because I just don't have that experience in that world.
It is super fun. I mean, I don't think it's not on the level of it yet, or maybe I'm just not involved as much as I was, when I was really into it. But it kind of reminds me of the beginnings of kind of the big bass hunting out in California in the early days with like Dottie and all that stuff. Maybe not on that level yet, or like I said, maybe I'm just not as tuned in to it. But I could see, some of that happening, that really just trophy hunting type crappie stuff. And I'm here for it, man. I like it. I like diversity.
No, yeah, absolutely.
We all know John Sokup. I mean, John Sokup came from that world. I mean,
for sure.
He came from that world, and that FFS, and then he, when he came into the NPFL, I mean, he's kicking everybody's ass, and he was, that's where he came from, searching the big crappie, and started winning bass fishing tournaments, and had a great couple of years, won 2 trophies with the NPFL. He won the first one, and then I think he won the second or third one after that. I think he went back. I don't think he won back to back, but like you said, he won the first ever NPFL trophy.
Yeah, he won a couple of NPFL shields over there, and a lot to be learned from that crappie world with the forward facing sonar, and it's why those guys, in the off season spend a lot of time doing it. It is great practice for the bass fishing tournament world as far as forward facing sonar goes. But it sounds like there's going to be a few limitations as far as forward facing sonar goes moving into 2026, guys.
Yeah, the world's being turned upside down, and it's pretty sad I think it's pretty sad. It is one of the best technologies ever created, if you ask me. We're all geeks here. So, I mean, I know you're running it, aren't you, Thomas?
I have it on my boat. Don't have it on my kayak.
Okay. So you run a boat. I know Bass Geek has it on his boat. I don't have it on my kayak, guys. All I do is work. So, but I mean, we found cars with this thing. We found things that you'd never even imagine with forward-facing sonar. And, Thomas had this. We can talk about that real quick, Thomas. That picture you posted last week about how many tournaments were won and about using forward-facing sonar.
Yeah.
And, that thing's been kind of going around. A lot of people shared that as well. That, it's a great tool. It helps you find the fish, but you still got to catch the fish.
Yeah, and huge shout out to Jay Kumar. I
Yeah.
just reshared what he came up with there. It's very eye opening. MLF, it's a little. I would love to talk to them about their data sampling because they have it into 3 different striated groups, which is the sonar's turned off, the sonar's on, but you're using it, but then it's on and you're not using it. Like, so are you saying like anyway, like it's interesting data, but I'd like to get a little bit more specific on what all 3 mean. But I don't know, man. It's just with any business or any corporation, you can't make everybody happy. And I hope this works out so we can just stop talking about it. But I put a poll out, had over 200 people vote on what lasts longer, these rules or Taylor Swift's new marriage. And Taylor Swift marriage has won by 53% on the voting. They think that's going to last longer than these rules. I hope that is wrong, but it's out there. People, I think, are kind of just, they're set in their ways, Pepsi or cola, and that's just what it is.
Yeah. I posted, a lot of you guys made a lot of comments, a whole lot of comments. I got one here. The headline should read, "Those who complain the most, opinion matters." I mean, and then everyone has the same amount of time to learn the technology. And that's true as well. Need to be limited in every event across the board. That's one comment. It's not fishing, ban it all. And we've seen the videos, and I saw a video last week about one of the fish companies, sonar companies being paid off. I don't know about that. I don't know. But I mean, guys, you've had this forever. I mean, Pepsi paid off, Pepsi bought the rights to the Super Bowl. I mean, what's the difference?
There's so many layers with that, because like with any of these things, it's complex, multifaceted, and people want to make it as simple as possible. And so with your example, if a corporation has the money, like, I would like to sponsor your event, and then you're like, awesome, but we don't believe in any of your products, we don't want them, please still give us money. Like, I think that's really warped by some people being like, we want their money, but we don't want their product. It's such a weird disassociation people have. It's like, yeah, like if you keep forward-facing sonar around, maybe these certain companies will then want to give you money to sponsor the events. What do you guys can't have it both ways, which I think is, again, part of the issue is they don't think that extra 2 or 3 thoughts they need. I'm just talking about some fans in general about how this whole ecosystem kind of works.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. As much as we all love fishing, I think, the average fan tends to forget sometimes that these tournament organizations are a business, and people are in business to turn a profit. Obviously, they want to maintain a legacy, conservation, make everybody as happy as possible, but they have to turn a profit to keep the doors open. And that's what it comes down to. I mean, there were, for years, there's complaints of, well, why do these tournament organizations keep going to the same venues? Well, they keep going to the same venues because the Chamber of Commerce pays them money, and there's a mutually beneficial relationship to bring the tournament there. And they're paying for them to come in hopes that, it will expose their fishery, their area, and tourists and fishermen alike will come down the road and make them more money. So at the end of the day, it's a business. All 3 major tournament organizations, NPFL, Major League Fishing, Bassmaster, have made business decisions and plans of what they think is best for them. And you've got 3 options now. I mean, you've got, if you don't want to watch forward-facing sonar at all, you can totally tune into the NPFL. If you want a hybrid type of mix, whether it's 1 out of 3 periods or every other day with the Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit, you can follow Major League Fishing. And now I think it's 5 tournaments with, 4 tournaments without, hypothetically, depending on the last coin flip there at the St. Lawrence River at the end of the year. So you can see some tournaments with and some tournaments out on the Bassmaster Elite Series. So I think, you got a little something for everybody right now.
It's you kind of wonder if it's just the old school. It really is the old school guys that are really complaining. I don't want to say that out loud, but you kind of wonder if it's that generation. We are in the middle. I mean, I said it the last week or week before last on the show. When I was building the website, I would add increments or add things to the website, and I'm like, well, crap, that's not gonna work. It's a little too early. I mean, I'd put where you could, chat with each other on the website. And I was like, well, no one's signed up for that. But now everybody chats with everyone. So, I mean, you kind of wonder, did we go too hard into it too fast, the forward-facing sonar, or should we have started limiting it from the beginning and kind of did baby steps into
Yeah.
You kind of wonder, you know what I'm saying? Because if you look at the market, Dave, you're a marketing man, so we appreciate that. If you look at it, who's still buying the $50,000 bass boat to $100,000? It's the 40. It's the
Not me.
It's the 55 to 70-year-olds still spending $100K on a bass boat, and those are probably the ones who are complaining the most.
I think there's some truth to that. The demographics that tend to have the income to buy the bigger rigs, with all the bells and whistles are clearly, most of the time, the demographic you spoke about. I think one thing that that definitely changed the game a little bit is the advent of youth, high school, and college fishing.
Oh yeah.
High school anglers, I know in South Carolina, I mean, there's a high school tournament somewhere. I mean, there could be upwards 200 plus boats. Most of them,
Yeah.
you go there, or, boat captains, whether they're parents, grandparents, people who just volunteer their time. I mean, they're fully rigged out, everything you could possibly have on them. And a lot of these people don't even fish. They are there to be the boat captains. So, I mean, that added a lot of skin in the game. As far as that goes, as well. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think that you could definitely attribute to the controversial subject of forward-facing sonar. But yeah, I think what I've said here, recently, I also don't think people realize that what we see right now with Live Scope, Active Target 2, there's something already better that is about to be released.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I do feel like the organizations are trying to get ahead of some of that. I think they probably did go all out too fast, and I think they kind of know, like, oh man, we can't kind of put the genie back in the bottle totally, but maybe if we get some regulations in place moving forward with some of the stuff that's coming, maybe we'll have a little bit better chance to manage it the right way.
I heard one angler, talk about it. He was coming back from an event and shot a little video, and he's like, you guys get mad when we go to a lake and we use forward-facing sonar, catch giant freaking bass. And we go to another lake, we can't use forward-facing sonar, and we catch dinks, and you're mad about that. That when they're in Texas. So, I mean, well, you guys just stop complaining. You either want giant bass or you want catch a little baby bass.
You're not going to make everybody happy. And this is also a case study in the zeitgeist of social media. And we've seen this before with #MeToo pronouns, when you have a minority of people or majority online that cause enough of a stir and they move and shift the argument. And it's the Overton window effect here, where I 100% agree with what Dave's saying. If it just came out as like, we need to put limitations on technology because technology exponentially grows, this is what happens, and every sport needs limitations, that's great. The problem is in the arguments like the only reason any young angler is good is because of forward-facing sonar or this, and you keep adding stuff that may or may not be true, and you keep pushing the arguments like, well, I agreed with this part here, but now you're saying all kids under 21 should be shot. It's like that's like, I don't agree with that far, but it keeps getting so vitriolic, and I think it's evolved into the initial conversation is no longer what we're having anymore. But that's how it works on social media. It's just how it always been, whether it's fishing, football, baseball. We've been through this in so many sports where we go through these cycles like this. In a perfect world, they should have just been like, hey, when Scope came on the premises, honestly, probably when SideScan came out would be, I guess, the first big pop of technology. Be like, we need to have foresight on putting the genie in the bottle. And they didn't.
I mean, they kind of let them go crazy. Transducers, we're using ocean transducers on boats. I mean, they really did let it out. And now it's really going to be fun to regulate, put back in, keep sponsors happy, keep the guys that do the technology happy. This right here said, I'm going to read this real quick. It's actually pretty good. This guy wrote here. I remember things being said 40 years ago when the new depth finders came out on bass boats and the 2D down scan in front and back of boats. People said it was cheating. I think with technology and the way the industry going, you either get on board or quit griping or fishing is instinctively old school. And people just need to shut up. They got where they are for a reason and still take skill for FFS, which it does. I mean, you guys, there's whole courses out there on FFS. One of my friends, he does a big course on it. Some people don't want to try or can't afford it. So, like 40 years ago, they complain about it.
It's a terrible argument. That's the worst. That's one of the worst of the arguments there for me, because I was in the tech industry for a long time. Technology always gets cheaper. So how much a live scope unit, a cheap, or like a bad version in 3 years, will be uber cheap compared to 4 or 5 years ago. So if you're saying that you bought a $150,000 bass boat, but the $1,500 thing that breaks the budget, that's not necessarily the argument I like the most when it comes to this stuff. But yeah, like the screen thing, I thought was a very interesting conversation that got swept under the radar about, hey, should we have 50-inch screen TVs on your console? Does that inhibit your ability to see? And I'm like, yeah, actually, that's a good one to have. Okay, should we have screen limitations for safety? Yeah. And that one left real quick, and we got into more hot button stuff. I don't know. There are some good conversations to have around this, but it gets like, I don't know, canceled out by everything else.
Yeah, in my opinion, I think that one of the biggest things that people are overlooking, and they're grouping these, young anglers into one category.
Yes,
guys, I'm not saying that forward-facing sonar is not an uber powerful tool, but it boils down to time on the water. That is the main thing. And guys, these younger guys have dedicated their recent lives to being on the water. I mean, I know some of these guys that, I mean, literally they may go home for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and that's it. I mean, they are traveling the roads, fishing every single day on every possible body of water they can put their boat in on, and it is this time on the water, screen time, whatever you want to say. They are learning at such a fast rate versus how the older angler learns, and it's time on the water, and it is also availability of instant information. You either had to have somebody take you under their wing, take you out in the boat, show you a technique, or you were lucky enough to learn something from a Bassmaster magazine or a TV show or this, that, and the other. If I want to learn a technique, I can pull it up on my phone, watch several videos, get out on the water, and put in the time that it takes to learn that technique. And that's what these guys are doing. I mean, you may say, well, I've been fishing for 10 years. I'm a veteran, but a guy that's been fishing for 2 years may actually have more time on the water than you, because that's what he has the ability to dedicate his life to right now. I think one of the best arguments I heard, I think Milliken said it on a recent podcast, was if you really wanted to solve the issue, it was not about the limitations of forward-facing sonar, but it was the limitation of unlimited practice time and pre-practice time on these bodies of water. Because if I don't have the amount of time, financial assets, whatever the case is, versus angler X to go spend the amount of time pre-practicing a body of water, then more than likely I am not going to be as prepared for that event as that other angler who was able to do that. So that's one of the greatest arguments I've seen as far as how you could have leveled the playing field a little bit more equally.
And things don't happen in a vacuum. Fishing is such an interesting, if we want to call it like a legit sport, where your longevity in the career, and we've hit this point where we have so many big names that in the 90s, early 2000s, 2010s were at the top of their game, and they're all at the back end of their career and they're retiring. We see a bunch of names like the Skeet Reeses of the world that they're hanging it up. And regardless if forward-facing sonar was around or not, I felt like this time period would be the transition, and you're passing the torch to the McKinneys, to the next generation. And it's almost like this perfect storm of suck that not only do you have everyone that you grew up with that is at the retirement age, but now you have the next crop of anglers so quickly coming in to fill it at the exact same time that forward-facing sonar was there as well. I mean, this would be like if every quarterback you knew, the Tom Brady's and Peyton Mannings, all decided to retire in the same 5-ish years. Like, we have so many guys that I grew up with that are leaving. Yeah. It's wild.
I like somebody said today, I watched another video today. Someone said it'd be like when KVD was coming up and, his favorite thing was crankbait. It'd be like banning a crankbait. I mean, he was catching fish, winning championships, winning trophies. Let's kind of ban the bait that he won all his trophies with because he's winning.
Well, Van Dam's a great example of that when you couple in the side imaging technology.
Yes.
When that was first kind of, I mean, it's been around a long time, militaries used it, so on and so forth. But when, Humminbird was kind of the first to really master that technology, and KVD being who he was in his prime at that time, I was able to be out there and witness a lot of it. I mean, his efficiency, the ability to break down bodies of water, use that technology to find those offshore schools, in coupled with mapping. Let's not forget that, mapping is probably one of the biggest advents of technology that has helped professional fishermen out there. But for a while there, I mean, he was dominant, and not only because he's arguably the greatest angler to ever do it, but he mastered that side imaging technology and became more efficient with it than anybody else, and had the tools with the big crankbaits, the right setup, the right rods, the right reels, the right fishing style to make that happen. And when he went on that run, we haven't seen anything really like that ever since.
Yeah, and we talk about that with these young kids coming up. Will we see that run again? And like they were saying, I really do see we're in a transition period of tournament professional bass fishing, and you're either gonna have to shit or get off the pot. I mean, it's gonna be one of them deals where you need to go ahead. You can buy FFS now. I mean, I know that it was Lowrance this year. I think it was under $1,000. They came out with like a basic system. So I mean, the price will come down as the technology gets better, but you really, really need to look at purchasing it because, people say even local tournaments. I mean, the local derbies here, and we've kind of talked about that. Are we seeing lower numbers because of FFS, because people don't want to invest the money into it? So many arguments of why numbers are down in 2025 tournament wise, beside the economy, which I know Tom's going to say that. But I mean, but you know what, guys? We had COVID. No one had a freaking job. Everybody's sick, but everybody's still buying $100,000 bass boat. I was dinner at English Choice. I was at the open house. I was watching it. We were walking through, and a boat that I could afford, shit, I could buy 5 of them. The boat I can't even think about affording, sold. I'm talking about $100,000 boats. I saw it with my own eyes. People are still spending money. They will rip that credit card out in 1 freaking second to sign up for a bass fishing tournament if they think they have the opportunity to take home 1,000, 2, 3, 25K, whatever it is. So,
and we've seen adaptations. I know locally here in South Carolina, there's adaptations going on the local level. I mean, there's big team trails that now have a non-scope division. There's a lot of that stuff going on. So, I mean, we're seeing it, we're seeing people make the changes they need to make on the local level as well to kind of get with it. I think, undoubtedly it has had a huge effect on the co-angler, the co-anglers at a semi-pro level that, the tournaments you could still get in as a co-angler. Bassmaster Opens last year did away totally with the co-anglers. And part of that was probably based on lack of participation, a lack of people wanting to sign up. You've seen that across the board, MLF events, even at the BFL level, a lot less co-anglers. So it's an evolving deal. And I think all the organizations are trying to just do their part to find out what works best for them. And that's what they're going to do.
They brought it up. I know rules. I haven't seen the rules yet. Slick will tell all of us before we know. I don't know how in the hell he finds out information, but we're new rules are coming for the Major League Fishing events, all the way down to like I said, the BFLs. And you're all right. I mean, I see it all the time on social media. I'm looking for a co-angler. I need a co-angler. A lot of guys have asked for it to become a team series, kind of like what Bass Nation did, because that way they knew they had a partner all the time and didn't have to go looking for a partner. So it's kind of really hurt the sport, if you ask. On that side of it, it's kind of really where a lot of people aren't signing up as many as in the past, because I mean, at one time you were looking for boaters, and now we're looking for co-anglers. So I mean, what do you guys think what do you think that Major League Fishing is going to do for the BFLs in 2026?
Whatever they do, it won't be smart.
Well, at Red Crest they had a media luncheon, some announcements. I think they dropped a few hints there about what they were thinking about doing. They obviously have not made any official announcements as far as what they are going to do. I think they've come out with some schedules for Toyota Series, BFL schedules. I do not believe have come out for 2026. I don't know what they can do. That's the thing. It's very difficult. They can do a lot of things they do on the Bass Pro Tour because they have a reduced field. They have marshals, boat officials, whatever you want to call them, people to kind of enforce policies. I think it would be very difficult for them on a BFL level to count on co-anglers to enforce, half day on, half day off type situations with forward facing sonar. Toyota Series, I don't see that happening. I honestly have no idea what they're going to do, because either I feel like they're going to have to go one way or another with it. They're either going to have to, the Toyota Series being multiple day, they could come up with a hybrid model. BFLs, multiple day super tournament and All American, they could do something there. But the one day BFLs, I think they're either going to have to say can't use it or you can, there. So I guess it's just kind of a wait and see for me. It's what I've learned for sure in this industry is there's always a lot of rumors swirling around. Sometimes they end up being correct. More often than not, in my opinion, they end up not being correct. I typically kind of wait until the organizations just really announce the concrete information and go from there with it.
Guys, by the way, Dave Rush here with Best on Tour. If you haven't subscribed to his newsletter, please do so. I will have the link in the comments section below. But me and Dave have been knowing each other for quite a while. He's an awesome guy. The dude is up on his bass information. The newsletter is great. I actually sent the link to Thomas a while back, told him you need to subscribe because you love freaking numbers, Thomas.
I do.
And Dave and him do a lot of numbers and a lot of flow charts and a lot of pie charts and all that great stuff. So it's a lot of great information and a lot of great numbers for you guys who like, numbers, stats, and all that great stuff. For you guys who like fantasy football and all that great stuff like that. There's a lot of numbers on Best on Tour. So, but guys, we're gonna move into the end of the Bassmaster Elite season. It's over. It's sad. We still do have the NPFL. And that's the one thing I love about the NPFL. We still have a few more tournaments left for NPFL and the NPFL championship. That's not till like October, I want to say, down in South Carolina. I think it's I can't remember the actual date of that. There's a couple different events back to back. I think it's the Bass Nation Championship or something down in South Carolina.
Bass Nation National Championship is La Crosse, Wisconsin. That's the end of October, and NPFL Championship is going to be at Lake Hartwell, I believe.
Yeah,
coming up.
Yes,
so we got some fishing left, and we also have the Bassmaster EQs.
Oh yeah,
this fall. So that's going to be very interesting format, because not only is it the guys who qualified from both divisions of the Open, but let's not forget the Elite Series guys can jump in there too. So that's going to be interesting mix there. Yeah. We have not had fall as far as BASS events. We have not had major fall BASS events in, I mean, well over a decade.
Since COVID,
since COVID.
I think,
since COVID.
Since the COVID, the schedule, the change schedule. You're right. Yeah,
and that was a great schedule, and we loved it. it was amazing to get to see them catch fish different ways. And not on the same, same different, it might have been the same body of water, but it was a different time of the year. So there was a different tactic to it. And
yeah, I'm with you guys. I was sad to see the season wrap up there in La Crosse. It was kind of bittersweet.
But congratulations. Really, I was hoping Trey was going to win Angler of the Year. I'm not going to lie. Congratulations to, what's the young man's name who won Rookie of the Year? Congratulations to him. And
Tucker Smith.
Yeah, Tucker. There you go. Thank you. We've had Tucker on, but every time we have Tucker on, he's on a boat. So I kind of forget because all I hear is his boat motor the whole freaking time.
He's one of the guys. I mean, he spends that time
is
on
one
the water,
of the men
man.
who stay on the water.
I feel like Tucker's the real deal.
He is.
He he puts his time in, and I think that'll be one of the guys that you're not gonna have to worry about him not catching them with forward facing sonar. I think he's a very diverse young fisherman for sure.
But we were talking about off camera about who made it, who didn't make it. Hey gosh, it really is sad. Some of the anglers I've heard might be going to the NPFL. Some I don't know. Would you really want to go back to the Bassmaster Opens and refish to requalify? And at some of the age some of these guys are, not all of them. Matty Wong, I think he said he's pretty much done, I want to say. But some of them are going to go to the NPFL, and a lot of people give that a bad name. So it's where the old anglers go that can't do the forward-facing sonar stuff. But it's still a great freaking league, and it's $100K to the payout. But I want to bring this up here real quick. You're talking about the EQ qualifiers and that the pros can fish it. It's kind of been a thing where I don't think it should happen. That's my opinion. I really don't think the pros should be in it. I'll let you guys run with it, but I think it's a kind of like a farm league, and you shouldn't just jump into it because it'll qualify you, or it gets you qualified for the Bassmaster Classic or whatever. I mean, it should be a farm league and stay a farm league, and that's how we get the new talent.
But that's just the culture of fishing, is that, you can, if you're a professional, you can basically jackpot a college tournament if you sign up for a class. Like, that's just culturally what we allow to happen. I do agree, again, baseball background, having a legit farm system to cultivate younger talent, but that would require a lot of cultural blowback, which is what we're already seeing with the live scope debate. If you say like, hey guys, listen, you can't fish, let's say the Toyota series anymore. That is just for us to groom talent. That would create a lot of backlash. It just will. Would they stomach it and do it? Because let's say in theory, as a business, like, this is good for 10-year growth of our company. Can we take the small hit now on the backlash? I don't know if they can stomach that.
Yeah, I think the way the rules are set up with both organizations, Major League Fishing, Bassmaster, you've seen, top level touring pros fish the Toyota series, obviously to make a little extra money, but with the opportunity to fish the championship, advance to Red Crest. You've seen the same thing down all the way to the grassroots level, where you've had, touring pros fishing Bass Nation events in their state to get to the Bass Nation National Championship, finishing now with the format. There's some that have fished the what they call regionals, so they can get to the Bass Nation National Championship. I don't think that's going to change. The way I do understand it, though, that points, that they're not going to affect the points as far as guys qualifying, but the guys that have been booted out of the Elite Series will have a chance for requalification in some regard, based on the EQs. So I think it's a work in progress. It's the first year they've done it. It doesn't sound perfect on either side, as far as allowing, it's just like there's a lot of local tournaments that, you sign up for them, and before you can sign up, it says, hey, if you've won X amount of dollars in the year, or you were quote unquote touring pro on this organization, this organization, you cannot fish. And there's guys who like that, and there's guys who are like, man, I want to fish against the best of the best, and I wish they would let them fish. So I think you can argue either way on that, but it will make for a very interesting dynamic because a lot of those guys that I've talked to, I mean, they're very conscious of what they're getting into. They're also very conscious of, what is on the line for these guys who have worked all year to try to qualify for the Bassmaster Elite Series. Most of them are like, hey, I will do my best to not get in their way, but if you're in a tournament, I mean, your competitive nature is going to take over, right? I mean, you're there, you're a competitor, you want to win the tournament. I mean, if you're on the water, you're competing in a tournament, you are affecting the outcome of the tournament in one way or another, whether it's points wise or not. I mean, just being on the water during practice, the amount of fish you catch, the areas you're fishing, so on and so forth, you're affecting the outcome of the tournament and skewing maybe the actual results had those guys not been allowed to fish.
Yeah, you kind of, you kind of wonder if they just jump in and kind of cherry pick, which they can, but it like you said, it just skews the whole entire event. And that's my opinion about it. That I don't know. You kind of, if you worked your ass off the whole year and then someone jumped in and kind of destroyed your event, and you thought you had an opportunity to win, and then a big name comes in and kicks your butt, it just, I don't know. It's too much. It was too much riding on the line. I mean, I know they made the changes this past year, but it was just too much riding on the line for that right there for someone. And then you kind of wonder, is it really worth it there?
Well, I mean, is this not a sport? I mean, like, and I'm not trying to be a cold-hearted person, but I'll be that guy for this. But it's like, oh, this guy didn't have what it took to be in the professionals. We should give him a handicap. It's like, you wouldn't do that in the NFL if they're like, oh, look at this. The Redskins quarterback just threw 38 interceptions again. Let's give him another chance. Like, that's not how I thought a professional sport works. And are we trying to be a professional sport, or are we NASCAR? Which one is it?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. If you go back and you look at specifically, the history of some of these tournament organizations, there were anglers who were allowed to stay on tour for years and were not performing. If it is a performance-based sport, and I think they are getting more towards that now than they ever have. But you should not be, in my opinion, you should not be grandfathered in to a tournament organization just because you've been there for X number of years if you're not performing at the highest level. I mean, if you're not performing, in the major leagues, you're going to get demoted to the minor leagues. That's just how it works. And as much as, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the show, it's sad to see your heroes go, right? I mean, when Jordan put on the Wizards uniform, I was still hoping he'd score 50 every night, but that just wasn't the reality of the situation. And it just so happens everything is lining up to where a lot of the guys that a certain generation of us grew up idolizing and watching, it's just their time to kind of fade off out of the sport. And some of them are doing it by choice. Some of their performances are kind of forcing their hand, but we are where we are with it. And I think structuring it where it is a performance-based sport is definitely the way to go.
It's a tough pill to swallow, though. It is, and I get it. But it is for the health of fishing. It's the right move to do. You cannot have it be where it feels like it's just the 1% that have the right connections and they get to wear and drive in that car. You want to feel like if you work your butt off like a mechanic, I'll throw him in there after example, and you sleep in your truck at the lake and you put in the hours, you too can make it to that level.
A lot of people, we've brought up this a lot as well, the Bass Pro Tour for next year, reducing its numbers down to 52, and it becoming more of a sport, what I'm saying? More of a professional sport with them reducing their head count. And it's going to be now the best of the best. I mean, if you, like you were saying, Dave, if you kind of just rode, I hate to say it, like a Skeet Reese, he did win an event, but he hasn't won much. You're not going to see the big black and yellow truck no more. That's going to be the sad point. And we kind of relied on that, sponsorship. We relied on that for, just show. And now it's going to come down to where the best anglers of the best anglers will be fishing the major league, the Bass Pro Series in 2026.
And it's just the evolution of any sport with everything. Like the old model that was done in the 80s, the 90s, or early 2000s, it is evolving and adjusting. Especially, I mean, we haven't even touched on kayak fishing, catch, wave, release, catch, photo, release kind of style, taking over more of the zeitgeist of just fishing culture. But what Boyd is trying to do when he keeps saying like adjust the sport, it kind of reminds me of the dynamic with banana ball and baseball, where it's like constantly adjusting the sauce to make it work for TV, so you can get that TV deal, that big TV deal. And it's the thought process is right. I don't think the outcome right now is always the correct way we want to go about it, but the idea that we do need to adjust if you want this thing to hit the big time, I don't see too much fault in that.
No, I think the cutting the field to 50 on the Bass Pro Tour, while it definitely cut some guys' career short, or at least their career on the Bass Pro Tour, I think a lot of them will find other homes to practice their craft. I think it's a good move in general. I think their argument is that they'll be able to dedicate more coverage to anglers. A smaller field makes the less pressure on the fishery, so on and so forth. So it'll be very interesting to see how that all plays out in 2026 as well. But to your point earlier, there's going to be some guys that we have been used to seeing for several years, and we're going to be sad not to see fishing in 2026 on both sides of the fence there in the major organizations for sure.
And I wonder if this would allow them to go to different fisheries and try to get some of that local chamber money, because that's the neat thing about the field and how they do it. I mean, it put North Carolina, at least for me, sadly, on the map with when they went there 3 years ago, I think, or maybe it was 4 years ago, that they actually showed off Raleigh and all those cool lakes. But that is a little niche they could definitely fill now a lot easier.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, obviously schedule out for 2026, a lot of the same familiar venues there, but I
Yeah.
think moving forward, I think what it will allow them to do is kind of expand on their format they have had,
Yeah.
where they start on one lake and maybe move to
Bounce.
another
Yeah.
and bounce around, which I think is really cool. I
It's
think
cool.
it has a very even playing field type of feel, and there's a lot of strategy in it, right? Because those guys are like, well, should I go over here and practice in anticipation that I'm going to make the knockout round and get over here? Or do I put all my eggs in this basket where I know I'm going to be fishing for 2 days in order to try to make the knockout round and just wing it? So
Mhm.
to me, it's a really cool concept. It adds a lot of flavor to the BPT side of things for certain.
I really we've talked about that here. We really wish they'd go back to the original setup. I mean, that was the cool thing about the different bodies of water, like you're saying, Dave, that you didn't know which lake you're going to be fishing. And just the limiting of forward facing sonar, the different lake bodies of water. I mean, it definitely makes it a whole lot interesting.
Yeah, and they've done that with the team series. They recently just
Yeah.
wrapped up that team series there at Port Huron. Alton Jones Sr., AJ
Yep.
Jr. taking home the title there. Those guys, they don't, they know
That's
they're
fun to
going to
watch.
a certain city, but they don't know exactly. I mean, they probably have an idea, like, well, it's around here and there, but and they knew it was around where they were fishing, but they had no idea, what sections they were going to be able to fish. So a little bit of that early Ray Scott, I'm going to put you on a plane, and
Yeah.
you're going to land where the classic
Oh,
field
yeah.
is. And that's kind of that made for TV thing, right? If you're gonna expand it, you're gonna expose it to more people. I think you got to kind of get into some of that stuff, and Bass Pro Tour is for sure. I mean, they're all in on it. I mean, that's for certain. Cutting the field to 50 and continuing with the team series, and not just kind of settling for how the team series was with the 3-man teams, kind of refining it down to the
Mhm.
2-man teams. I mean, they've made some changes, and I feel like they have some really good momentum moving forward into 2026 for sure.
I think that team series
Mhm.
might be their gateway drug for the non-fishy person that's going to be watching, and the way they keep adjusting it. And this is the thing I've always said about them. They do make weird adjustments. They do constantly adjust, and it does drive people crazy. But here's the thing with that style of thinking: eventually, you crack the code. And because they keep changing and adapting, we may or may not like it. And I've had my issues with it, but eventually they'll get the recipe correct. And if they hit it correctly, that will be the format that will get more eyes into fishing.
Yeah, well, that's going to be a really interesting 2026 with all updates, it changes. Anglers moving on. Shaw Grigsby for one. I mean, good gosh. I mean, who didn't grow up watching Shaw Grigsby? I mean, and now he's gone from the Tackle Warehouse series. He's gone to go find alligators. So I mean, it's gonna be.
And that was a cool. I mean, obviously, would have been a better storybook ending had he, ended it with a trophy. But to see him fishing
So
live,
close.
and have one of his best events in years, kind of his last hurrah, that was really, really cool. Yeah.
So it's gonna be a unique 2026 season. We're coming off. Me and Thomas talked about this a few weeks ago. We're coming off a 2025 that's been a blah season for us. That's our opinion from the other side, with disqualifications, with issues. Scott Martin leaving the series. We talked about that earlier. One of the biggest men in social media leaving because of the issues there. And it just seemed like there was no real happy time. I mean, even after the Classic, there was none of this, no events that was like, I'll remember. You know what I'm saying? It's just hopefully we'll have some of the more rememberable events in 2026.
Well,
hopefully changes might help.
With so far with the new rules that we have, who do we think wins? Who do you think won with the best rules? Is it Bass right now, or the rules that we have as of recording with Major League Fishing?
Ooh,
I think a lot of that is going to be determined. In my opinion, I think that they're going to have their, I believe tomorrow on the 4th or 5th, they're going to have their kind of selection show with Bass, which is a cool concept, right? I mean, they're kind of turning it almost like a draft of some sort,
Yeah.
So the coin flips, a lot of that is going to depend, I think, on what lakes they're going to allow forward facing sonar on and what lakes they're not, right? Gunnersville, that's a totally different tournament without forward facing sonar versus not being able to use it, so on and so forth. And I don't know that I can give my opinion on it right now until the actual Elite Series season it plays out under those rules. We've had a season of the 1 period on, 2 periods off on the Bass Pro Tour with forward facing sonar. And I will admittedly say I watched more of the Bass Pro Tour this year than I had in years.
Yes.
It was, to me, it was a lot more interesting. The strategy that went along with it, the guys, when they choose to use it, the guys that didn't use it at all, so on and so forth. I thought it played out brilliantly. I think the Bassmaster Elite Series you can have some of those moments as well, but it's yet to be seen for sure.
I like, once I understood it, because I will say for the layman, it's a lot easier to conceptualize Bass's rules than the MLF, but I think MLF was way more entertaining. But it's also where you go, like the Potomac River, Smith Mountain, like they're fish factories right now. There's a ton of bass there, so you get the fish catchings to really roll in. Where they pick to go is going to be a big thing. Are you going to say, hey, listen, the coin flip says Okeechobee, you're allowed to use forward facing sonar, but we're going to go to Lake Erie, you're not allowed to use it there? Like, because most people, just from an optics standpoint, is like, that doesn't make sense. Why would you do it that way? It seems like it should be reversed. So I'll be interesting to see how this voting thing works and how the lovely people on the internet take it.
Yeah, and I think to your point there too is 2 different formats, right? I mean, you've got the Every Fish Counts format is back in the BPT after some waffling there. They went to 5, they went back and forth, and so the format there is set up for a more fast paced, action packed kind of deal. I'm not arguing at all. I think BPT has it right for their audience, for their organization.
Exactly.
And I feel like it's Bass is working towards what they feel like is the right solution. And it's kind of let's see how 2026 plays out. But I agree with you. Like I said, as far as the coin flip deal, I think that's going to, how is that actually going to work in the selection show? And, I mean, there's a chance that, every tournament that we would want to see forward facing sonar, if it's a true coin flip, there's a chance we don't see it at any of them. And that's an interesting dynamic too, right?
Yep.
I mean,
Yep,
you know,
yep,
it's just how you want to cut it. But I think, you know, there's a lot of interesting stories developing, including, you know, who goes to the NPFL. I mean, right now, 9 out of the top 10 in the AOY points in the NPFL are current Bassmaster Elite Series anglers.
Yeah.
So, you know, that kind of shows you, you know, those guys, they're going to catch them wherever they go. How many more of those guys are going to go over there? And how is the NPFL going to be able to either, you know, capitalize on that, or does it become somewhat detrimental to their identity that, you know, the anglers from other tours are kind of dominating the NPFL crowd?
It's fascinating because right now I would say they're probably winning the most the past 3 or 4 years. They just seems like from a organization standpoint, they just make good decisions, good, clear, concise press releases, make the great audibles. And again, I believe if there would be an announcement, they would be the last ones again to make the announcement. They're going to let everybody else fight, and then once the dust settles, then they'll make their decision. So I have faith in them not to do something stupid right now, but you know that can always be tested. Everything about the way they go.
I'm going to bring this up to you. You know, wonder how much of an impact. You guys all know the board was created in 2025 for Bassmaster. My sponsor and best buddy John Cruz is heading that all up. You wonder how much that board is going to kind of influence this coin flip deal that they're going to host tomorrow or the next day, like you're saying, Dave. You know, how much of that's going to play a role in this union without a union, I guess you kind of say it. That's how I kind of call it. But
yeah, I think one thing we have somewhat in limbo that has not been made abundantly clear with that is basing it off the Milliken interview on Bass Talk Live the other day was, you know, a lot of that board consists of anglers who will not or potentially, you know, could not be fishing in 2026 on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
That's
so
wild.
Do they currently still have a place on the board or an equal share and say? I don't know. That would probably be a question for I'm sure John Cruz could answer that for you. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. That was not made abundantly clear to me. I know in the process of voting and getting to where they got with this, the board played a very big role in giving the anglers a voice for sure.
Dave, gun to your head, what do you think the odds are in 5 to 8 years there's still 3 organizations?
I've thought for several years that there probably would not be. You know, the tournament organizations would eventually, because I mean, let's be honest, we all talk about growing the sport and, you know, and whatnot. That's kind of the catchphrase that you always hear. But at the end of the day, all of these tournament organizations are swimming in the same pool and fighting for the same money from the same companies. You know, as the fishing industry goes, at what point can these companies continue to spread the money around and support 3 organizations? I don't know. I think eventually it's going to come to a time and place to where, you know, economics is probably going to dictate the outcome of your question.
Yeah.
You know, the answer to the question. I mean, we do see non-endemics come in periodically. You know, from my experience in the business and the sport, I mean, you'll see a non-endemic. They're really hot to trot, come in. They're in 2 to 3 years, and then you don't hear from them again. You know, we've had some really good non-endemic sponsors in the fishing world, and they come in and they're
one of them.
Jack. I mean, yeah, just go on and on. I mean, you can go back to the days of Citgo and Purelator, Advanced Auto Parts, Crown Royal. I mean, it's been going on forever, right? And they come in and they really think, you know, hey, we can make something out of this. It's very beneficial. And I think it probably is beneficial for them for, you know, a finite period of time. But we've really never had that big non-endemic sponsor that's come in and stayed. I mean, I think the biggest thing we probably had with the best example of that was the Walmart deal with FLW, when you had the Kellogg's boat and this and that and all the different things. And that was a long-term deal, but I don't know how much of that was really based on the numbers versus based on relationships of Irwin Jacobs and everything they had going on there with the Walmart family and whatnot. But either way, it was a great relationship. It was all baked in there. And I think that's the closest thing that we've seen to the type of non-endemic support you need. But to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, my opinion is at some point, the organizations are cannibalizing themselves to some degree because there's just not enough sponsorship money to go around to get the sport to where we all know it should be and where we want it to be.
That's a heck of a way to end right there. It's definitely true. Now it's TV rights. With Major League Fishing on CBS, Bassmaster on Fox, and the NPFL, they're doing their thing. I think they took over their media this past year. I heard they were writing some really big checks to that last company, and so they went ahead and broke loose from them and started doing their own thing this year. NPFL coverage has been pretty daggone good, if you ask me, for a small little company of about a dozen people total. Not like the other two conglomerates that have they got that many just on the bus taking care of all the cameras. So I mean, with a small company, small budget, they've done an excellent job there. So only time will tell. I mean, I don't. You kind of wonder if someone's going to gobble up NPFL. Buy NPFL, turn it into a farm league or something. I don't know what they do with it, but. Or, we've talked about that, and that was one of the comments under the post, have two different leagues, have a forward-facing sonar league and a non-forward-facing sonar league, all underneath Bass. And that was a comment that someone else had made under the banning of forward-facing sonar. So before we go, guys, Dave, best on tour. I apologize for dicing it earlier. I get locked here. I get it. Thomas, hopefully you're getting it by now. It's a great read. What made you start the newsletter? And it's really, really freaking good if you're not getting it, by the way. So tell us a little bit about yourself and why you started a newsletter of all freaking things.
Yeah, well, so I first started in the business back in 2010. I started working for Bass Zone. So Mark Jeffries had Bass Zone. Matt Pangrack and myself went to every Elite Series tournament from 2010 on until the split and Major League Fishing was formed. So that was kind of my job, on-site media coverage, doing things like that. In the process of that, we would obviously get content for our sponsors, industry people, people that supported our brand. So made a lot of relationships along the way there. And when the split happened, Mark and Matt started Bass Talk Live. Both of those guys are based in Oklahoma, so it was really easy for them to do, in-studio podcast. And I'm out here in South Carolina and was kind of like, hey, well, we're not going to every tournament anymore. And I was doing a little bit of stuff here and there. So I was lucky enough to start working for a group called Outdoor Brand Team. Outdoor Brand Team is a rep group, handles several companies in the industry on the sales side and also helps them out on the marketing side. So I help out on the marketing side of that. And kind of in the process of that, we really realized a need for a platform to kind of get information out about our brands, to be totally honest with you. It had gotten to where your independent kind of bass fishing websites where you would typically post press releases, things of that nature, were kind of going by the wayside, weren't as active as they used to be. So we really started Best on Tour out of a necessity to be able to have a platform to help out our brands. And also kind of with that, realized that, in passing all the time, we would have all these interesting conversations, whether it would be about marketing, statistics, things happening behind the scenes, leveraging, relationships with these pro anglers, tips, tactics, things like that. And so Best on Tour kind of grew into a place to disseminate all that information. And that's what it is now. I mean, I just wrapped up the finishing touches on, believe it's like issue 339 earlier tonight, which comes out tomorrow morning. So we're about 340 issues into it now after just a small concept of trying to do something.
So cool.
Obviously was not, if you guys know, obviously did not, create it to become a multimillionaire. If you want to make a bunch of money, bass fishing media is probably not something you want to get into. But I've been involved with this for so long, and I've met so many cool, positive people in the walk through the industry that I'm just trying to give back and give companies a platform to do their thing. I mean, obviously we promote our brands, but we're open to any any content from any brands. There's nobody I'm not going to promote in Best on Tour, and just give those guys a really a place to promote their companies, their own brands, and just kind of do some opinion pieces along the way, some stats that companies can use, maybe anglers, consumers, whatever think is interesting as well. So that's it, man. Every Thursday, 10:05 a.m. right to your inbox. You can subscribe for free at bestontour.net. About as simple as it gets. And it's, as man, it's kind of the last frontier of direct to consumer communication is a newsletter. I mean, social media is huge, but you're dealing with algorithms. So you may have a ton of followers, but only 3% of them may see what you're putting out there on any given day, depending on how the algorithm wants to treat you, based on what you're doing. So we enjoy it, and it's definitely opened up some more opportunities to come and promote it on shows like yours. So we really appreciate you allowing us to do that.
That is awesome. Yeah, it's crazy how you guys want to learn social media. I mean, I have studied and studied and studied, and I mean, it's like times you should post and like the hours you should post, and I've actually waited like hours after a post went out to hopefully the algorithm will pick it up a different way, because it is tough. And I was watching a YouTube video yesterday, and they were talking about how much YouTube's changed and how it's now gone to content more than the actual, like the person you follow. Like if I follow Fishing the DMV, it's going to push out more podcast content to you than Fishing the DMV content. So people might not even see your stuff, even if you follow them. And that whole thing is just changing so daggone much. And like Dave said, newsletters. I've got a newsletter, guys. We do it twice a month, and then we do. I just do a kind of a little blast on Monday, a little recap from the weekend, from us being out on the road covering tournaments for the website. And it is the last part left where it goes directly to your inbox. We want you to read it. We hope you read it. We want your want your post, and you can email us your replies and whatever your feedback is. But it is the last media that actually, for our generation, besides the newspaper that came to your house, this is the last one that comes to your inbox that won't get shuffled. So it's pretty freaking cool. Guys, thank you all for listening. Don't forget, next weekend, I want to say, is the Toyota Series event on the Potomac. I'm going to be at the Rivers and Roads event. I'm just going to go down on Saturday for the final day this year, but I'm going to be down in Hopewell, Virginia for that. So tournament season is kicking back up around here. The Basscast.com tournament season kicks back in gear in October. So there's a lot of bass fishing, and I think the Cat Series, I don't know how familiar Dave is with the Carolina Anglers Team Tournament Trail down your way.
Very familiar.
Pretty big. I was gonna say it's pretty big up our way. So we got the fall schedule. We're gonna be putting schedules up on the Basscast. Actually, I'm probably gonna do that this weekend. The house is gonna be empty, so we're gonna upload schedules to the website. So it's gonna be a lot of schedules on there as well. So, Thomas, before we go, anything you want to throw out there real quick?
No, you guys know the deal. Go on, check me out. You guys either love me or hate me at this point. So.
Whoa. It's the world of bass fishing. That's how it goes right now. To be honest, guys, it's either you love us or hate us, or or you just want to hear what type of stupid shit might come out. So I mean, it's unfortunately we're living in that world. But Dave, dude, thank you. Best on tour, man. Appreciate you. Thank you for doing the newsletter. It's a great newsletter. It's great to see something different out there that you're not going to find anywhere else, and I appreciate you putting it out. Anytime you want to come back on, love to have you. You're a lot deeper than we are in this thing, and because you eat, breathe, sleep. We do it as well. We just still working jobs.
Yeah, thankful to get to do it every day, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you watching and listening, and we'll see you guys again right here next week on Basscast Radio.